Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, got an awesome video here for you today. I'm going to be going over my list of league-winning sleepers. Now, obviously, they have to fit both categories. They have to have league-winning upside, and they have to be sleepers. So, for example, Chris Olave is not on here because he's not a sleeper, but he does have league-winning upside. But, they have to fit both categories, right? They have to have league-winning upside and be a sleeper. So, you guys get it. All right, so I'm going to start right here with the very first player on my list, and that is Cortland Sutton. Now, this is a guy who is on a team who made a critical coaching change coming into this season. We have Sean Payton as the head coach of the team now. This is hugely important considering the fact that you look at the team, last year, and you just look at the team as a whole, and coaching was the biggest problem, right? And it just kind of was a snowball effect from there. They started the season with a poor offensive game plan. They signed Russell Wilson, paid him a ton of money, and then decided to be a run-first team with all their passing weapons. It made no sense, the offensive scheme that they tried to employ at the beginning of the season last year. And then their whole season just kind of ended up being a mess. But, now we have a much better head coach. We have a Cortland Sutton who, despite having the worst season you possibly could have imagined him having last season for the expectations coming in, still had 800 receiving yards. He was still 25th in deep targets, which is top 11 in the NFL. Now, you look at this guy's NFL career. He's had guys like Joe Flacco, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater slinging him the rock before Russell Wilson got there, and was still able to put up pretty good fantasy numbers. And because of the fact that he's never really broken out, people are sleeping on him. And this is tremendously important because we can look at Cortland Sutton. Look at the talent that this guy has. This guy has the talent to be a wide receiver one. He just hasn't really broken out. But a lot of that is because of poor quarterback play and poor coaching. Okay, so now we have what's going to be inevitably a better system with Sean Payton coaching the team. I think that with Sean Payton coaching the team and Russell Wilson actually having some good head coaching to back him up, I think this can actually be a very good offense. And the Broncos offense and Cortland Sutton could both be in for a massive bounce back. And people are sleeping on Cortland Sutton because of what they saw last season. But this guy does have tremendously high upside. He does have a very good deep ball thrower in Russell Wilson to sling him the rock. Obviously, it didn't look like it last year, but last year was a mess. I say let's go ahead and write off last season, chalk it up to coaching. Russell Wilson has a track record. We know that this dude can throw the deep ball. We know that Cortland Sutton thrives on the deep ball. So I'm going to trust Cortland Sutton to have a huge bounce back this season. And I think that we're going to get some awesome draft value with him. Next player on my list is going to be Kadarius Tony. Now, with Kadarius Tony, what we have to go on is the eye test mainly. I mean, obviously, he's been incredibly injury prone in his first two seasons in the NFL. But, we've seen the ceiling. That first season in that game, against the Cowboys where Trayvon Diggs was covering him, he had 189 receiving yards against one of the better corners in the league. Now, obviously, Trayvon Diggs, he can give up yardage to receivers. We've seen that before. But the fact of the matter is, Kadarius Tony almost had 200 receiving yards off a corner that is very good. And this is a very good sign. And then when you look at just this guy play, I mean, you saw him in the Super Bowl, right? Those kind of jump cuts that he made on that kickoff return were something that very few receivers in the NFL can do. I mean, those jump cuts at the beginning of that kickoff return were absolutely insane. He almost took it to the house. This is a dude who has electric run after the catch abilities and is absolutely lethal in the open field with the ball in his hands. And so, you've got a receiver with insane run after the catch abilities. I would argue that his run after the catch abilities are top 10 in the NFL, maybe even better than that. But we just have to see more of this guy play, more of him actually being on the field, staying healthy. But if he's able to do that, I think his upside in this Chiefs offense is absolutely insane. I mean, he's going to be the wide receiver one in this offense, right? There's just no doubt that he is the most talented wide receiver in this offense. It's not even remotely close. And considering the fact that Travis Kelce is literally 97 years old, Pat Mahomes is going to have to look to at least one of his wide receivers in this offense to be the main target hog for the offense this season. There's absolutely no reason why that shouldn't be Kadarius Tony. So the offense that he's playing in, the quarterback that he has him throwing the ball, his insane run after the catch abilities, he has everything going for him. He has touchdown upside. He has yardage total upside. He has reception count upside. I love this dude as a sleeper. He's probably going to explode and be a league winner this season. Next player on my list is going to be Khalil Herbert. Now, Khalil Herbert, last year, the efficiency numbers were insane. Okay, 5.7 yards per carry, 5th in the NFL. 5.7 yards per touch, 7th in the NFL. 3.29 yards created per touch, 9th in the NFL. So at every vital running back efficiency metric, this dude was top 10. And for whatever reason, he just hasn't gotten ahead of backfield yet. But with that being the case, I think that he's just going to take over the backfield from Deontay Foreman this year. Naturally, They have him, listed as being in a split backfield again. But I think as the season wears on and they see that Khalil Herbert is the significantly more talented running back, which they should already know, but as he will go on in the season and prove that, I think he's going to start to, receive the majority of the opportunity share in this backfield. And considering the fact that this has the potential to be a lethal offense led by Justin Fields, and considering the fact that they bolstered up the offensive line, Khalil Herbert's efficiency could be even better this year. So look for this dude to just absolutely explode this season. He's a league-winning sleeper. Next player on my list is going to be Tua Tagovailoa. This is a guy, we've seen the ceiling, right? He had that game last year where he had over 40 fantasy points in week 2. So we've seen the ceiling. He led the league in deep ball completion percentage. This is a very good sign, okay? Deep ball completion percentage is one of the most important metrics when looking at the quarterback position because it illustrates how well they can throw the deep ball, and there's no quarterback with talent that can't throw the deep ball. So this guy had a very good deep ball completion percentage, led the league. You look at the quarterback rating and the passer ratings across the board. 68.5 quarterback rating, third in the NFL. 117.8 passer rating versus man, first in the NFL. 105.8 passer rating versus zone, third in the NFL. So he could pick apart either defensive scheme. He showed to be an incredibly efficient quarterback, and he has two of the best, most talented, fastest, electric, awesome wide receivers in the entire NFL to throw the ball to, in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Sky's the limit for Tua. Awesome late-round value at the quarterback position. Next and final player on my list is going to be Brandon Cooks. Now, this is a guy who is obviously an electric talent, a 4.3 40 time. He's one of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL. He's notorious for being one of the most dangerous field-stretching wide receivers in this league. He was a first-round draft pick for a reason. 6 out of his 9 seasons in the NFL, he had over 1,000 receiving yards. So, this dude has been really, really good in his career. And now we put him in a Cowboys offense, which it could be argued that this is the best offense that Brandon Cooks has ever played in. Now, some of those Rams offenses that he played in were good. And, Patriots offenses that he played in were good. But I think that this is going to be, as far as point totals for the offense, the best offense that Brandon Cooks has ever played in. And he's clearly the number 2 wide receiver in the offense. And, we know that the Cowboys never shy away from throwing the deep ball. So Brandon Cooks is going to have plenty of big play opportunities. The weekly ceiling is massively high. And I don't want anyone to think that just because he's going to be 30 this year, that's going to be a problem. Wide receivers really don't fall off that age cliff until 32, 33, some sooner. But, Brandon Cooks really hasn't shown any signs of slowing down as far as his, his talent. When you look at his metrics versus man coverage and zone coverage, this dude is still very efficient. And he just didn't really look good last year because he was playing for Houston. So, we now insert him into a good offense. I think he has some massively high upside this season. I love Brandon Cooks as a late-round pick. I think this dude's going to be a huge league winner. The weekly ceiling is massively high for this guy. So he's going to have some of those weeks where he comes out and has a big enough week to single-handedly win you your week in fantasy. So make sure to grab this guy in the later rounds. He's an awesome league-winning late-round sleeper. All right, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Catch you later.